The Jeffrey Epstein case isn't just about a man. It represents a systemic failure in the safeguarding of sensitive human intelligence. How does a democratic superpower manage information so toxic it threatens the stability of an executive?
To understand the leak, we must first analyze the top secret classification tier, designed to prevent exceptionally grave damage to security. Information is the ultimate weapon of the 21st century, more lethal than kinetic strikes when held by the right actors. Epstein operated at the nexus of intelligence circles, utilizing psychological leverage that effectively functioned as a non-state actor's private operation. When the state seizes such leverage, the data becomes a high-value target for both foreign adversaries and domestic whistleblowers alike.
The answer lies not in a single lock breaking, but in the structural rot of the chain of custody protocols.
In intelligence terms, this is a containment failure, where the cost of keeping a secret outweighs the cost of its exposure.
We begin by examining the physical and digital perimeters of the SCIF, the Sensitive Compartmented Information Facility, where these files were born.
Could a single rogue analyst or a sophisticated cyber intrusion bypass the air-gapped systems designed to be impenetrable by any outside force?
Practical question. Is any secret truly safe when the people tasked with guarding it have conflicting loyalties to the state?
The Epstein files represent the ultimate black swan event for the American intelligence community's internal security and public trust. Security is a process, not a product. Yet in the case of the Epstein archives, the process was intentionally bypassed.
To analyze the breach, we must evaluate the need-to-know principle versus the right to secrecy in high-profile cases.
Every document leaked carries a digital fingerprint, a trail of breadcrumbs leading back to the source of the systemic failure.
The stakes are higher than personal reputations.
We move now to the battlefield context, the internal war between transparency and the deep-seated necessity of institutional preservation.
The battlefield isn't a jungle or a desert. It is the servers of the Southern District of New York and DOJ.
Epstein's documents were stored in a decentralized manner across multiple jurisdictions, creating a nightmare for unified data security and oversight.
This fragmentation allowed shadow copies to exist, unauthorized duplicates created by individuals within the system for their own personal insurance.
In the world of high-stakes litigation, a leak is often a tactical strike used to force a legal or political hand.
Pattern interrupt. Did you know that 90% of classified leaks come from internal actors with authorized access, not outside hackers? The Epstein archives contain video, audio, and financial ledgers, multimodal evidence that requires diverse storage formats. Surveillance footage from the Metropolitan Correctional Center vanished, marking the first major kinetic failure in the physical chain of evidence. This technical glitch at a critical moment suggests a high-level intervention capable of overriding automated backup systems in real time.
Adversaries of the state view these leaks as opportunities to degrade the moral authority of the U.S. government on the world.
The battlefield is the public mind, where the truth is obscured by a deluge of both real and fabricated data. Evidence rooms in high-profile federal cases are theoretically the most secure non-military sites on American soil, guarded by elite marshals.
However, the human factor remains the weakest link. No lock is stronger than the integrity of the person holding the key.
Political pressure acts as a corrosive agent, slowly dissolving the procedural safeguards that normally prevent information from leaking to the press.
In this environment, the leak becomes a survival mechanism for those who fear the archives will be destroyed by higher powers. Data fragmentation is a tactical choice. If no one has the full picture, no one can tell the whole story. The legal battlefield uses documents as munitions, each page a bullet aimed at the heart of an opponent's credibility or career. When the Epstein files were seized, the fog of war descended immediately, with conflicting reports on what was actually found.
This ambiguity is the preferred state for intelligence agencies. It allows for plausible deniability regarding the most sensitive names in the ledgers.
Transitioning to the mechanics. How are these files technically protected, and what tools are used to breach that digital fortress? The primary defense for classified data is the AES 256 encryption standard, a mathematical fortress that would take eons to crack. However, encryption is useless if the encryption keys are stolen through social engineering or sophisticated phishing attacks targeting senior officials. Most federal systems utilize air gapping, physical separation from the public internet, as a last line of defense against remote hackers. To breach an air gap, an attacker must use a bridge, such as a compromised USB drive or an acoustic side-channel attack. Pattern interrupt. Did you know that some high-level secrets are still kept on paper to avoid the risk of mass digital copying?
For the Epstein files, the system included thousands of hours of high-definition video captured by hidden cameras in his private residences.
These recorders used proprietary storage formats, making them difficult to access without the specific hardware and decryption software used by Epstein. The FBI's Computer Analysis Response Team, or CART, uses forensic tools like EnCase to extract data from damaged or hidden drives. Even deleted files leave magnetic signatures on the disk platters, allowing specialists to recover fragments of deleted evidence months later. The weapon in this context is the metadata, the hidden logs showing who accessed the files, when, and from where they originated. To prevent leaks, systems use digital watermarking, invisible markers that identify the specific user who opened or printed a sensitive file.
If a leak occurs, the watermark allows investigators to trace the document back to the exact workstation where the breach happened.
In the Epstein case, many leaks appeared to bypass these trackers, suggesting they were leaked via manual retranscription or high-res photography.
Tactical question. How do you defend against a camera in the hands of a trusted person with authorized clearance to the room? The mechanism of failure was often the administrative override, where high-ranking officials ordered certain protocols to be suspended for expediency. This creates a backdoor that is not technical, but political, a hole in the armor that no software patch can fix. Data integrity is also maintained through hashing, generating a unique digital fingerprint for every file to detect any unauthorized modifications. If the Epstein ledgers were tampered with, the hash would not match the original, signaling a compromise in the evidence chain. The system is a complex web of technology and policy, designed to be perfect but executed by flawed human beings. We now transition to the combat reality. What happens when these systems are tested in the real world of high-stakes scandal? We now transition to the combat reality. What happens when these systems are tested in the real world of high-stakes scandal? In the real world, the combat isn't between hackers. It is between those who want the truth out and those who don't. Limits of security are reached when the data itself becomes so valuable that it creates its own black market for leaks. Every time a file is moved between the FBI, the DOJ, and local police, the attack surface for a leak increases exponentially. Combat reality. The The suicide of Jeffrey Epstein in a high-security cell proves that even physical custody has catastrophic failure points. This event forced a shift in how the archives were managed, moving them into even more secretive, off-book storage facilities.
Pattern interrupt. Why were the two guards assigned to Epstein sleeping and surfing the internet instead of doing their tactical rounds?
When systemic fatigue meets high-value targets, the result is almost always a security catastrophe that benefits the powerful.
This level of negligence is often a symptom of systemic fatigue, where security protocols are treated as mere suggestions rather than life and death orders. The limits of digital forensic recovery were tested when certain servers in the US Virgin Islands were reportedly wiped before the FBI arrived. This is tactical data destruction, a scorched earth policy used to ensure that if the secrets can't be kept, they must be annihilated. However, in the age of the cloud, annihilation is nearly impossible. Somewhere, a backup almost always exists in a secondary location. The combat then becomes a race to find that backup before it can be used as leverage or released to the public. For the Epstein files, the combat reality involved multiple foreign intelligence services trying to gain access to the compromat for their own gain. This turns a domestic criminal case into a shadow war between global powers, all fighting over the same set of sensitive data.
Practical question. Can any government truly control information once it has been shared with individuals who have no loyalty to the state?
The limit of American secrecy is the First Amendment, which protects the press but creates a massive loophole for authorized leaks. An authorized leak is a tool of statecraft, used to pre-bunk a story or damage a rival's reputation before they can strike. In this combat reality, the truth is not a goal. It is a casualty of the tactical maneuvers being performed by all sides. The ultimate limit of the system is the whistleblower, an individual who decides the public's right to know outweighs their legal oath. Transitioning to the strategic value. What is the long-term impact of this breach on the future of American intelligence and security? The strategic value of the Epstein files lies not in the names, but in the precedent of selective justice they reveal. This case has forced a complete doctrine shift in how the US government handles high-profile human intelligence assets and their data.
Future systems will likely utilize decentralized ledgers to ensure that the chain of custody is immutable and cannot be altered by anyone.
This zero-trust architecture assumes that everyone, including the guards, is a potential threat to the integrity of the information they protect. Pattern interrupt. Will we ever see the full, unredacted Epstein archives, or are they destined to remain a permanent mystery of the state? Erosion of trust is a strategic vulnerability that foreign adversaries can exploit to destabilize the social fabric of the United States.
To counter this, the government may move toward extreme transparency in some areas, while tightening the iron veil in others.
The Epstein case has also sparked a legislative war over the power of the FBI and the DOJ to keep secrets from Congress. The strategic value of compromat has been validated by this case, leading other non-state actors to build their own private intelligence networks. We are entering an era of privatized intelligence, where the most dangerous secrets are no longer held by governments, but by billionaires. This shifts the balance of power away from the nation-state and toward a new class of information oligarchs who operate above the law.
Tactical question. How do you fight a war against an enemy that has invisible leverage over your highest-ranking military and political leaders?
Epstein archives are the atomic bomb of the information age. Their full release would cause...
Therefore, the strategic value for the state is in managed leaks, releasing just enough to satisfy the public, but not enough to burn the house down.
This damage control is the primary mission of the intelligence community in the wake of the Epstein scandal and the resulting leaks.
The future will be defined by the verification crisis, where no one can tell if a leaked document is real or a deepfake. In this environment, authenticity becomes the most valuable commodity and the most difficult one to protect from technological manipulation. The Epstein files are just the beginning of a new type of information warfare that will dominate the coming decades of global politics. Every leak is a tactical lesson, teaching both the state and its enemies how to better hide or better find the truth. The mechanism of the future will be autonomous security, AI-driven systems that detect and stop leaks before they can even be initiated.
But as long as human ambition and fear exist, there will always be a way to breach even the most advanced digital fortress.
The strategic value of a secret is only as high as the risk one is willing to take to keep it or expose it.
We must prepare for a world where privacy is a luxury of the past, and secrecy is a weapon used only by the elite.
The Epstein case is the warning shot across the bow of the modern world.
The future impact will be felt in every courtroom, every election, and every intelligence briefing from now until the end of the century.
The future impact will be felt in every courtroom, every election, and every intelligence briefing from now until the end of the century. Knowledge is power, but classified knowledge is a burden that can crush even the strongest institutions if not handled with absolute precision. This has been a deep dive into the vault of American secrets. The question remains, what else is still hidden in the shadows? This has been KL Warfront. Subscribe to join the front line of tactical analysis. Your intelligence is our priority. Like and share to stay informed.